Let's continue. Test marketing is an application of field experiments into practice in the marketing world. Test marketing refers to the scientific testing and controlled experimentation rather than just trying something out in the marketplace. This experimental procedure provides an opportunity to test new product or new marketing plan under realistic market conditions to obtain measure of sales or profit potentials. The major advantage of test marketing is that no other form of research can beat the real world when it comes to testing actual purchasing behavior and consumer acceptance of a product. To have test marketing, we must complete the several steps as well. First, we decide whether to test market or not. Then we work out the functions of test market. After we decide on the type of the test market, then we decide the length of the test market. Afterwards, we decide whether to conduct the test market and then estimate and project results of the test market. In first step, we decide whether to test market or not. Test marketing is expensive, and testing a packaging good product can actually cost several $1,000,000. And before the test begins, the cost of such research should be compared with the value of information it provides by the end of the research project. The appropriate period for test market varies depending on the research objectives, but on average it takes from 9 to 12 months to do it properly. And when conducting test market, a company runs the risk of exposing a new product or its plans to the competitor. If the competitor finds the product easy to imitate and implement, it may beat the originating company to the national marketplace. When we should not test the market. Not all the product introductions are test marketed. For example, expensive durables such as refrigerators, line extensions, and Me Too products are rarely test marketed before their introduction. In other cases, test marketing is used as the last option or choice because competitors might easily imitate a new concept, and secrecy here is more important than the research. In step 2, we work out the functions of the test market. Test marketing provides the opportunity to estimate the outcomes of alternative courses of action, and from that information, the best alternative may be selected. Also, it helps to identify and correct some weaknesses before committing the product to the national launch. And also, test marketing permits evaluation of the proposed marketing mix. In step 3, we decide on the type of the test market. The standard method of test marketing needs that the organization choose the test markets and then obtains distribution using its own sales force. This method has considerable external validity. However, there may be several problems like cost, lack of secrecy, and etc. Recently, researchers have used the control method of test marketing. The control method uses a mini-market test in a small city using control store distribution or forced distribution. And a market research company specializing in test marketing, they implement and perform the entire test marketing task from initial sales to the retailers to shelving the product in the stores. Therefore, the organization is guaranteed distribution in stores representing a predetermined percentage of the market. The advantage of using this control method of test marketing are as follows: reduced costs because of smaller test units, shorter time needed to read test market results, increased secrecy from the competitors because the market is not automatically audited, and no distraction company sales force from the regular product line. Now let's talk about the test marketing types. First is electronic test markets, which measure results based on the scanner data, combined with broadcasting systems to experiment with different ads messages. It's also called high technology systems using scanner data, and using computers and UPC consumer panels, companies can monitor the household's item-by-item purchases and link them with the television viewing data. Simulated test markets are research labs in which the traditional shopping process is compressed into a short time span. Marketing researchers uses the data from the shopping experiments as input for computer models of sales that produce estimates of sales volume. Virtual reality simulated test markets attempt to reproduce actual store atmosphere with visually appealing images on a computer screen. These are attempts to reproduce the atmosphere of an actual retail store with visually compelling images. And online test markets, online test marketing is a type of online panel used to test market, new products, and advertising copy. They have global coverage, and respondents are usually paid to participate. In step 4, we decide on the length of the test market. Test markets should be long enough for consumers to become aware of the product and to try it more than once, and test marketing for an adequate period minimizes potential biases due to abnormal buying behaviors. In step 5, we decide whether to conduct the test market. Selecting test markets is, for the most part, a sampling problem. The researcher wishes to choose a sample of markets that are representative of the whole population of all cities and towns throughout the country, and there is no ideal test market that is a perfect miniature of, say, for example, the whole country, but it's important for researchers to avoid cities that are not representative of the population or the country or the nation. Factors to consider here in test market selections are, first, population size. The population should be large enough to provide reliable and projectable results, but small enough to ensure that the costs will be affordable for the company. Demographic composition and lifestyle considerations, such as ethnic backgrounds, incomes, age distributions, lifestyle, should be representative of the country, nation, population. Competitive situation is about competitive market shares, competitive advertising, and distribution patterns should be typical so that the test market represents other geographic regions. If they are not representative, it will be difficult to project the test market results to other markets. Similarly, selecting an area with an unrepresentative market potential may cause innumerable problems. Media coverage and efficiency. Local media will never be exactly the same as national media. However, duplicating the national media plan or one similar to it is very important. Media isolation is advertising from outside communities that could contaminate the test market should be minimized. A company should also avoid having its advertising spill over into areas where the product is not available. Self-contained trading area. Here, distributors should sell primarily or exclusively in the test market area. Shipments into out of the markets from chain warehouses can produce confusing shipping figures. And overused test markets, if people become aware of the tests, the consumers or the retailers, they react in a manner different from the normal manner. Therefore, it's important that one great test market not be established and overused by the companies. In the step 6, we estimate test market results. The main reasons for conducting test market are to be able to estimate sales, attitude change, and repeat purchase behavior, and to project the results on a national level. Number of methodological factors may cause problems in estimating the results on a national level as described below. We may have over-attention. If too much attention is paid to the testing of a new product, it can make the product more successful than it normally would be. For example, a salesperson may spend unusual amounts of time making the product more available, or they may display it just better. Unrealistic store conditions. Store conditions may be set at the level of market leader rather than at the national level. For example, eye-level stocking resulting from artificially high distribution may be obtained in the test market. Then, reading a competitive environment incorrectly. There can be some assumptions that the competitive environment will be the same nationally as it was in the test market. If the competition is unaware of the test market, the results will not measure competitive reaction to the strategy. Conversely, competitors may react to a test market in an attempt to undermine it. Incorrect volume forecasts. Um, In the typical test market, share of market or unit sales volume is the focus of the attention. Forecasted volume for the test markets should be adjusted for differences between the test markets and national markets. Also, researchers must be concerned with repurchase rates as well as initial trial purchases by consumers. And the last one is the time lapse. If there is large time lapse between the test market experiment and the national introduction of the product, it can have an important effect on the consumer's receptivity to the product. In the step 6, we must project this market results, which involves first consumer surveys to measure levels of change in consumer awareness and attitudes towards the product, then straight trend projections, which can be used to assess the market share nationwide. For example, suppose that the market share is 3% in the test market region, and a straight line projection assumes that the market share nationwide will be 3%. Of course, rarely will every market be identical, yet this guesstimate may indicate whether the product has a viable marketing mix. The calculating ratio of test product sales to total company sales for benchmarking. Calculating a ratio of test market sales to total company sales in the year may provide a benchmark for modifying projects into other markets and calculating market share for products that are subject to repeat purchases. Here we may calculate market penetration, which is multiplied by repeat purchase rate, and this way we can get the market share. The repeat purchase rate must be obtained from the historical record. Traditionally, the consumer panel has been used for recording purchases over time. Panel data may indicate cumulative product class buying rate or market penetration in the early weeks of the test market. As the test market continues, repeat purchases from those buyers can be recorded until the number of trial purchases has leveled off. Those are 6 steps which we must have in order to test market. And the key takeaways of this chapter is that experimental research is used to whether a change in an independent variable causes some changes in the dependent variable. In experiments, we may have internal and external validity, which can damage our experiment results. Internal validity questions whether the experimental results are true due to the experimental variables, whereas external validity questions whether the experimental results are applicable to the real world. And threats to internal validity may harm the external validity as well, as we've discussed before. That's all for today. Thank you for your attention, guys. See you on our live session. Goodbye.